Attention please. This uploading is only for educational purpose. No intention to infringe copyrights. Learning English with subtitles GPITRAL. Follow us.
At a property in South Auckland, SPCA inspectors have returned to check on the condition of 4 extremely thin dogs.
I've just come back to recheck the dogs, okay?
Tristan has been to this house before. On previous occasions, the occupants of the house have been aggressive, so she's brought Bruce along for backup. On her last visit, Tristan gave the owners a warning, requesting they improve the dog's body condition and their shelter.
Don't touch me, mate. No. Otherwise we'll call the police. I can hear them.
This is not the first time the SPCA has removed dogs from here. Tristan and Bruce managed to retrieve only 2 of the 4 dogs. In the care of their owners, none of the dogs have made any improvement, despite Tristan leaving the owners advice on their care and nutrition.
We might have to come back for the remaining dog, the light brindle one that he grabbed off me.
Well, it was an interesting reception. There's obviously 2 dogs still there we need to get. So we'll have another go now, but if we can't get them, then we'll just have to get the police.
Should we have another go at getting another
Yeah.
dog? Yeah, okay.
Animal recovery is often unpleasant for the inspectors, but it doesn't discourage them from making an attempt to retrieve the remaining dogs.
I want that dog. I need to hand it over. Excuse me. The one that brindle one.
We've
light brindle.
got warrants to come and get the dogs.
There's nothing wrong with Kalawa.
Could you please leave the premises now?
Nothing wrong with Kalawa.
There is. The
There's
dog is
nothing wrong with
thin.
Kalawa.
There
There's
is.
nothing wrong with
The
Kalawa.
dog's got the ribs showing and the hips showing. There's lots wrong with the dog.
There's no wrong with
This
Kalawa.
is my warrant.
That is not a warrant, that is your
Not yet. To get onto the property, I don't need a search warrant.
in writing, please.
You don't need it in writing, I'm telling you now. I'll call the police. I'm quite happy to. We've been here with the police before. I hand over the dog or I call the police.
Go and call the police in.
Hi, could I have the police, please?
Do you really want the police
Thank
here?
you. Hi, it's Tristan from the Auckland SPCA. Am I able to get a police unit to assist us? One of the guys has taken off with one of the dogs, but we're still going to wait for the police.
It's people do get stressed out when you are removing their animals, but you know, it's something to be expected sometimes. There's only just the one dog remaining there that's in fair condition, but you know, we'd rather get it now because it's pretty obvious that they're incapable of looking after any animals, so we'd rather have it.
There's one guy that was definitely pulling and shoving me to get the dog.
Yeah, it was definitely getting to us, sort of a personal assault situation, so.
Okay, all right, I'll tell
While
the police
waiting
I'll
for the
come down.
police, the
Thank you very much.
family member who ran off with one of the dogs has had second thoughts.
Okay.
Thanks for doing that, you did the right
Right.
thing, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right,
Okay.
sweet as.
With 3 dogs now in the custody of the SPCA, Tristan's hoping the presence of the police will enable them to retrieve the final dog.
We moved 3 dogs off the property and we're just like this last remaining dog.
There's no on the yes.
Take him out.
And the elephants are one and one is the eat data.
Tristan and Bruce are keen to leave the property and the hostility behind.
We'd get cases like this sort of, you know, once every few weeks. And fortunately, these guys weren't particularly intimidating. They're fairly loud, but they weren't particularly intimidating. We didn't feel in danger, but it's more a lot of noise and commotion more than anything.
Back at the animal village, the horses recently uplifted from a local farm are preparing for some long overdue care and attention. When they arrived, they were severely underweight and had a range of medical conditions that are now being attended to by the SPCA. These tools are destined for the mouth of one of the horses, whose teeth require some rather extreme filing, and equine specialists come along to perform the dentistry.
His teeth are really overgrown, which means he can't eat properly, he can't chew his food properly, and because of that, obviously, he can't swallow it, and he's missing out on a lot of food.
If the teeth have got too long, the effective chewing, in other words, the mastication, has ceased. So the horse virtually has to get food into his mouth and just suck and get whatever goodness it can out of it, and that's where you get the deterioration in the condition. There's no actual pain in the filing itself because the nerves are quite a way off the edge that we're actually filing. It hurts the horse if the tooth is actually loose and the nerve is then prized loose, and the sharp pain will be caused by the nerve being loose, but there's actually no pain to any horse.
Much like work on humans' teeth, various tools are required to complete the job.
Well, we're now going to look at the incisors or front teeth of the horse, and we've got to correct those, and we can see the pattern where the outside edges haven't been worn because of the lack of range of motion, and they're quite high, so we're going to reduce those down.
An equine specialist is also the person best qualified to determine the age of a horse.
And we go to the chart, and we're looking for a shape of these first incisors here. You see they're quite long, quite elongated. And if we look on the chart there, we're probably around about 26 to 25 years old. And the outer edge are quite triangulated, which probably brings it back to around about 25. So we have an average age here of 25.
After all that dental work, it's time to see the result of the specialist's work.
Yeah, he's still dropping a bit of food, but I think that's a lot to do with the sedation that he's had as well. His lips are probably still a bit numb. But compared to yesterday, where probably 50% of his food was on the outside of the dish after he was finished, he's definitely looking a lot better already. And hopefully by the end of the week, he'll be a much happier and much fatter Vladimir.
The stallions will be getting some attention too. They're standing by for their scheduled castration later today.
Hello, kids.
Karen's arrived back at the animal village with a van load of baby goats found roaming the streets of Otara.
Come on. We got a call from a concerned neighbour, basically, saying that his neighbour had a lot of people had arrived at his property and brought in approximately 16 young-looking goats in sacks and offloaded them in the back of his section. He was afraid they were there for slaughter, but I think they're a bit young for that. So consequently, I arrived, and no one was at the property when I got there. So being so young and obviously out of their confinement, I had no choice but to remove them and bring them back here. They wouldn't have survived. Come on, then. The mothers have been slaughtered for food, basically.
There's no shortage of volunteers to help out with the feeding when cute animals like these arrive at the SPCA.
Cool. If you guys want to grab a goat each, and we'll take them over in here in a confined area, and we'll give them a feed. Come on. Very cute.
A lead on who may have seized the goats and put them in sacks is unlikely. Karen's not hopeful the offender will be found.
Here we go. I want to follow through and just find out where the farm in Tuakau is. The information's sketchy, I may never find that out, you know, but ultimately we got the goats off the property and they're all survived, so that's got to be a good scenario. But yeah, there was a couple that weren't so good. The one over there was really, really thin, really weak. In fact, yeah, unable to walk really. I think mainly from just really hungry. They weren't in bad condition, just absolutely starving. They obviously need their mums at this age, and I think the owners had no intentions of feeding them overnight, so there were concerns that they may not have survived. I think bar 4 out of the 16 have been fostered out, some to staff members. I myself have taken 2.
That's so sweet. Just want to keep them. You could come and live at our house with the chicken.
Does it hurt?
The goats' immediate health is of concern to the SPCA, so vet Jeff Talbot's come in to vaccinate the animals.
This is a vaccine for 5 major diseases that young sheep and goats can get. clostridial diseases. So basically it affects them when they're really young, so they need to get a couple of shots when they're young.
Oh, darling, it's all right. Good girl, don't look.
Okay.
Good girl. Here you go, mate. See ya. Oh, look.